It is Take After Take post-NFL Draft edition. Yours truly, Carl Prather on the ones and twos. I don't have my friend here today. Producer Pat, not here with us today. Had some things he needed to take care of. A little honey-do list. All you significant others out there, y'all know what I'm talking about. Honey-do list, that may be the most important thing we got going on in our lives. You don't get that done outside. Just outside. But no, he'll be back next week. We're going to hold the fort down for yet another week as we recap the NFL draft. Just have a little fun going over draft picks, maybe players that impressed you, players that maybe impressed me relative to what team they're going to begin their respective professional careers as well. But yeah, just a lot to get into. We're just going to have a little fun today. I do want to start before we get into the NFL draft. Had an opportunity to hear from Kalen DeBoer, Alabama head football coach, earlier this week. Coach DeBoer was in town, part of the Madison County Alumni Association National Chapter for the University of Alabama, helping raise scholarship money for their scholarships that they endow each and every year for students in North Alabama and, more importantly, Madison County. So really good event last night. Super cool to be a part of. Had opportunity to interview Coach DeBoer. Obviously, not much to discuss relative to outside of spring football. And as they head into kind of the off season, it's all conditioning, throwing on your own, working out on your own, the whole nine before everybody reconvenes and heads into drills for fall camp here in a couple of months. But had an opportunity to obviously discuss kind of the proverbial elephant in the room, quarterback. Austin Mack, Keelan Russell, Austin Mack, however you decide to choose it. Both of those two young men will vie for that starting position in the fall, during fall camp. And, of course, questions asked about that. My biggest question for Coach DeBoer during that time was just what has he had the opportunity to watch with both of these two young men within the program for a year. Obviously, everyone remembers Austin Mack kind of came with Coach DeBoer once he had the head football coaching job at Alabama. He was a Washington commit initially, made his way to the capstone after Coach DeBoer got the job. And, of course, Keelan Russell, kind of one of those prize recruits for Coach DeBoer, arguably his most prized recruit within his first recruiting class there. So both of those two young men had an opportunity to sit for a year. Ty Simpson, we'll get to him later, relative to the NFL draft, had an opportunity to be there, kind of learn the ropes a little bit. Now it's their opportunity to compete for that job. So I asked him just his thought process of both of those young men being able to be in the building. I think a lot of that goes kind of unnoticed, right? It's one of those things when you're a prize recruit, and of course, everyone under the sun wants players to play right now. I get it. You see all the stars, 62.5 composite stars by the name of a young man, and instantly he must be instant impact. He's got to start from day one. He's going to be an all-conference performer and first-team All-American, win the Heisman, whatever. But there's a lot to be said, obviously, that the difficulty of making the jump from high school to college football. This is like with any sport. Obviously, there's outliers and misnomers there because there are young men that are able to kind of excel at the collegiate level instantly, make an immediate impact. We saw Malachi Toney a year ago at Miami. We saw Jeremiah Smith his freshman year at Ohio State. But let's be real. For every 6 to 8 or 15 of those guys that are showing you flashes, or more importantly, let's be honest, the dominance of a Toney, the dominance of a Jeremiah Smith, a whole lot of the guys that are playing in spots. They may have a flash here, a flash there, but the consistency of it all when you're playing high-level football is the most important part. But, yeah, I asked him just his thoughts on just those two young men being in the building, being within the organization, being with the Crimson Tide of Alabama for a year, learning under one Ty Simpson, learning from their coaches, Coach DeBoer, and what he wants to see from that position moving forward as he heads into his third year within the program. What do you see? What do you want to take from Ryan Grubb, your play caller? All of that plays a part, all while being able to watch a guy that was drafted in the top 15 picks being taken in the first round. All of that helps tremendously. And the amount of reps that you're able to get from when Ty was the starter relative to getting into this offseason, being able to have a spring where both of these two young men have the opportunity to get all of the snaps, and now taking this to another level and trying to separate themselves so one of them can be QB1. So a lot to decipher there. So had an opportunity to hear from Coach DeBoer. We'll let you take a listen to this from earlier this week as Kalen DeBoer made his way to Alabama. I just mentioned the question that I asked him, and also just about the youth movement for Alabama football, as there's not a lot of seniors on this within this program heading into this year, and just watching and learning and understanding maybe some of those leaders and some of the guys that are going to kind of take the bull by the horns as they head into fall camp.
Yeah, we got a lot of new guys that really love being here and have worked extremely hard in the winter months. A lot of bodies changing, a lot of guys excited to learn. I think that they realize the coaching staff, they realize the resources that we have here. They took advantage of it, and then we got into the practices, and we really came a long ways in 15 practices. And so excited about the growth of our team. I think they're extremely hungry, and that is a big part of it, right? Your attitude carries you a long ways. And so, we know we got a long ways to go, but I feel like we've done a good job of getting on track. I think it's such a unique thing just seeing the relationship that both of them had with Ty and their support for him, and then also the support that they have for each other, the way that they can lead and do it in their own way. And the other guy just continued to carry on. It's been really impressive. It speaks a lot to the character of each of them. Yeah,
totally appreciate Coach DeBoer taking some time with media here in North Alabama, Huntsville, being able to chop it up a little bit and discuss obviously why he was here in Huntsville for an amazing fundraiser and scholarship program for Madison County future students at the University of Alabama. And then, of course, getting ready for a fall camp. Also, kind of a quick turnaround for Coach DeBoer. He left Huntsville last night down at the Regents Tradition Pro-Am, kind of the who's who of Southeastern Conference coaches and former athletes from the Southeast and nationally, all down at Greystone in Birmingham on Wednesday rather. As we're recording this on a Wednesday, it'll be released on the Thursday. And then, of course, the Regents Tradition Champions Classic Tour stop will happen this week as well. So, yeah, he's played a lot, playing a little golf, played some golf up here in Huntsville yesterday before he prepared for his keynote speech. And then now he's down there with former Alabama coach Nick Saban. Alex Golish also in the house as well. Had an opportunity to hear from Coach Golish, and he discussed some of the things that he took away from his very first spring camp rather. Excited. I love the fact that he mentioned a little bit more physicality. Take a listen to Coach Golish as he discussed the spring that was and kind of moving forward into his very first fall camp on the Plains.
The whole staff is new, trying to connect these guys through some hard, through some tough, but left spring feeling good. Also left spring feeling like we need an entire summer to get to where we got to be.
Yeah, super cool to see so many current, former coaches and current, former athletes in the house down in the regions. It's kind of a big event within the state. A lot of people go down there and kind of make their way to that event in the early spring. All right, so let's get to the NFL draft, shall we? I kind of think that we kind of had a safe assumption of knowing not only who was the number one pick in the draft would be. That's Fernando Mendoza. We basically knew that 4 months ago. And we really kind of had a pretty good idea of maybe the top 8 to 10 guys being slotted, probably going to be picked in the top 15. Let's just go through it really quick. I just have my phone here, just off the top of my head here, and reading ESPN. Fernando Mendoza, number 1 at Indiana. David Bailey moved to the 2 spot for the Jets. Jeremiah Love picked 3rd. We mentioned that and discussed that a couple of weeks ago with Patrick. Carnell Tate. I don't think a lot of people saw Carnell Tate. Not that he wasn't a first-round prospect and worthy of being a first-round draft pick, just being picked that high at number 4 for the Tennessee Titans. Arvell Reese, he falls to number 5, and he will join the New York Giants. Mansour Delane, the unbelievable cornerback from LSU, headed to Kansas City with the 6th pick. Sonny Styles, a linebacker from Ohio State, at number 7. Jordan Tyson, kind of an enigma there for prospects heading into the draft, but more importantly, those that are in the know, mock draft guys, player personnel people that understand the medical history with Jordan, but understand the immense talent that Jordan has within his repertoire as he heads into the National Football League. He'll head to New Orleans, the Big Easy, to play for the New Orleans Saints. Spencer Fano, big offensive tackle, going to head to the Cleveland Browns to kind of shore up that offensive line for whomever the quarterback is going to be. All indications point to Shadur Sanders, I would assume. I do not know this. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I know Deshaun Watson is back in the fold there. Francis Maui Noga. Maui Goa. Francis Maui Goa. I'll get it right one day. Offensive tackle. He's with the Giants. Giants had 2 picks within the top 10. Okay, let's just start with the top 10. Just quick takeaways from yours truly. I don't know how you felt when watching that and your favorite team and who they decided to pick. We'll start with producer Pat, who's not here in spirit. Is where he left his chair here. But I thought the Titans overall not only had a really good pick at the 4th pick, I think they just had a really good overall draft. And we'll talk about teams, overall players momentarily. But Carnell Tate, I know he maybe went a little bit higher than what maybe people thought, and what we know was a incredibly deep wide receiver draft. Now the question is, can he be a every down number 1 receiver for Cam Ward and that franchise? I think he can be. I think a lot may be taken away from the fact that he has a mutant that was his teammate for the last 2 years. That's there. That'll be a top 3 or 4 pick next year, bar none. Probably would have been a top 2 pick outside of Fernando Mendoza if Jeremiah Smith came out this year. But I think a lot of that is lost in the fact that he gets a lot of attention. The opportunities that Carnell had at Ohio State, he really made the most of them. Really like his efficiency and with the production that he was offered at Ohio State, especially this season. I think he'd be great for Tennessee. Here's the deal. We discussed this when we were discussing the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans need everything, y'all. Like, let's not beat around the bush. Tennessee Titans are not going to Super Bowl this year. I mean, it's a process to this whole thing. There's levels to this. But what better way than to start the foundation with just a solid draft across the board? And I think the Titans front office and organization did just that. Chad Brinker no longer with the Titans anymore. It is Mike Borgonzi's show. And now we see how the coaching staff at Tennessee in their first year with a former coach as offensive coordinator, Brian Daboll, of course, Robert Saleh with the Tennessee Titans, very familiar with championship-type pedigree as the defensive coordinator with the 49ers last year. Another stint with the 49ers initially before he took the job with the Jets. Listen, regardless of how you feel about the New York Jets, the Jets defense was not the problem whatsoever while he was there. Just leave it at that. So I know 2 things with the Titans relative to whatever talent they have on their 53-man roster when we head into the fall. They're going to play hard and they're going to compete. I don't know how many games they're going to win. Will not even remotely make a guarantee of what that looks like. What I do know is they're going to compete in every game. They're going to be in every game. And the coaching staff is going to put said players in the best position possible to make plays and to play winning football consistently over the course of 3.5 months or whatever it is for the regular season. So this is a great start. And you got to get weapons for your franchise quarterback. And what better way to do that than to go get him a pass catcher in Carnell Tate? Safe to say, if Jeremiah Love if he fell to 4 and he wasn't taken away with the Arizona Cardinals, safe to say that the Titans, in my opinion, I don't know this, the Titans would have picked him at 4. He had always, relative to the mock drafts, been a guy that was going to be picked at that spot for the Titans. But mocks are mocks is what they're for. It's just total guessing game and crapshoot. And Jeremiah Love goes to 3. I think out of the top 10, I just have a hard time believing Fernando Mendoza won't be at least just solid as far as ceiling. As far as floor. When you have a guy that's been pegged to be that pick as a quarterback for that franchise for what seems like the end of December, and even going into his national championship run with Indiana. I find it, listen, not conspiracy theorists, I just find it hard to believe if a franchise knows who their guy is going to be under center or in the shotgun, whenever it may be, but QB1, let's just say the ball was rolling relative to being able to get things squared away from a schematic standpoint. Obviously, the moves they made with offensive line, but I will go on a skinny limb to say that Fernando Mendoza has had a little bit of install with the Raiders brass and their coaches and their front office, but to kind of get him up to speed as quickly as possible. So I don't know that. The guy, come on, guys. The guy's been the number one pick since January. Like, we knew who was going to be the first pick. So I don't have a problem with that pick. I think Fernando's going to be fantastic from the standpoint of just, if we look back in 5 years and he's, a backup or not in the league, I would be utterly shocked. I think he's going to be a quality quarterback. And I think a lot of it helps with, whatever you're going to try to do to surround him with players. They still need players too. Once again, if you're drafting number one overall, you got problems. You got a lot to try to shore up before you become a contender. But what better way to kind of foundationally be able to have a cornerstone within your organization, in your franchise, at a quarterback position that's the most important position in all of football, arguably all in sports, and kind of get that ball rolling and then try to get things around said Fernando to be able to get him and this franchise where they need to be. So the Jets picked David Bailey. I maybe thought relative to last week's podcast that Arvell Reese may fall in that spot. He didn't. David Bailey going to try to get around that edge and make some plays for Aaron Glenn and company in New York. I love Jeremiah Love. Listen, you don't have to be a lover of Notre Dame football like myself to not understand what type of talent that man is. You got to be a running back to go third in the National Football League when running backs have been not underutilized, but maybe their value has been taken for granted in the last 5 to 10 years. For somebody that dynamic to be able to do so many things for you, and the Cardinals win once again, third pick, you need everything. Offensive line is not ideal for that organization. But to be able to get a guy in space, dump it off to him out of the backfield, maybe run him into motion, the whole nine, just a dynamic playmaker. You need playmakers. You need guys to be able to alleviate some of the issues you may have on offense. And let's be real, you're trying to take the best available player. And for the Cardinals, the best available player in their eyes and their organization was Jeremiah Love. I think he's going to be fantastic. And I think you'll see in a couple of years if he's 1,000 rusher, 1,000 receiver type guy. Should not surprise anyone. He's just that talented. I think he's going to be a star in this league. And I think he's one of the few players initially that I can say, yeah, Pro Bowl, All-Pro in the next 60 months. From start to 60 months there in the next 5 years. So, yeah, big get for the Cardinals at 5. I will say outside of that, in the top 10, I think Sonny Styles is just going to be solid. I think he's going to be a perennial Pro Bowler for me. And then the other guy that I think within the top 10 that I have confidence about being a Pro Bowler in a stud is Mansour Delane. I just don't see how he's not a standout there at the 6th pick for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know Andy Reid and that coaching staff and, of course, their defense and their unbelievable, which potentially could be a Hall of Fame coach as a coordinator. Spagnuolo can have that weapon there and shut down a side of the football field. Going to be exciting to see that young man and how he produces there in Kansas City. So for me, Jeremiah Love, Mansour Delane, Sonny Styles are the three guys that if I had to pick just a couple of guys that to me instantly would be future Pro Bowlers, those will be the three. Not taking anything away from the other guys. I think they all have an opportunity to do very, very well. Francis at 10 can anchor that side of the line or wherever they may put him on either anchor to just shut it down and anchor it down for a decade. I'm not taking anything away from him. Obviously, we discussed Arvell Reese last week. I keep going back to the Isaiah Simmons, a comp from the standpoint of, for those that remember when Isaiah Simmons came out of Clemson, he was a Swiss Army knife. He could play safety. He could play linebacker. He could maybe run off the edge. But what could Isaiah Simmons, what one thing could he do extremely well above all the other things? And I've seen Arvell Reese play linebacker. He can do some really impressive things there at that linebacker position when he was at Ohio State a year ago. Just hadn't seen him put his fingers on the ground and try to get off the edge and try to make some plays there. So I don't know the plan for Arvell with the Giants, with Abdul Carter and Kayvon Thibodeau there on each end. Maybe they move him around, make him a hybrid there in the linebacker and the defensive line. I don't know, but yeah, he's the biggest question for me. I'm not saying that he can't be a fantastic player either. He's got all the tools. I mean, height, weight, size, that all matters in the National Football League. But no one can say relative to projection if they're asking Arvell to be a situational or even a rotational, or if it's an every down defensive lineman on the edge as an edge rusher. We've not seen him do it. So we have to see it. We can only go by what tape tells us and the projections as we head into the National Football League. I know it's a wild thought, but for the most part, if you're going to a franchise and said franchise is plugging you into a spot within the franchise, asking you to do that thing, I would like to see you do that one thing extremely well at the collegiate level. So then we, as fans and or analysts or player personnel guys or those on the worldwide networks, ESPN, NFL Network, whatever, can then project what you look like when you're in said scheme and how that looks like with all the grown men in the National Football League. So time will tell with Arvell Reese. I mean, the proof will be in the pudding. We'll know sooner rather than later after a couple of years. But best wishes to Arvell, but we just don't know. Jordan Tyson, listen, Saints need weapons too. Now, I'm going to tell you, outside of physical guys and his injuries, had he not had any injuries, you're talking about a guy that's in the top 5 potentially. But for Kellen Moore and the Saints franchise and Tyler Shuck and Chris Olave and Johnson at tight end, I mean, they're slowly but sure. I don't know how many games they're going to win, but from an offensive standpoint, that could be very interesting as we head into the season, as Shuck just played fantastic the last month of the year, about the last 6 weeks of the year. So they may have their franchise quarterback, may have an absolute star at wideout with Jordan Tyson. Then you got a stud with Chris Olave. Obviously, his injury history there is something we think about. But if all are healthy, man, they can make some serious headway and be more than competitive, especially being able to manufacture and produce offense coming up this upcoming season. Okay, so outside the top 10, 11 through 20. Go through them really quick. Caleb Downs at 11 going to the Cowboys. Caden Proctor, Alabama product, at 12 for the Miami Dolphins. Ty Simpson at 13 for the LA Rams. I'm going to try this. Oliviega Ione, I think. I know I'm going to get killed for this. That's okay. I understand it. Should have found his pronouncer. Not just been able to pronounce his name before, but big fella at Penn State, offensive guard, headed to the Ravens. Ruben Bain, who looked completely pissed off being able to be drafted that low at 15. Tampa Bay. Kenyon Sadiq, 16, going to the Jets. Blake Miller from Clemson, 17. Caleb Banks at 18. The tackle, Monroe Freeling, drops to 19 for the Carolina Panthers. Mekhi Lemon for USC. Okay, so listen. Somebody in this room named Carl said last week, Ty Simpson is going to go higher than what many draft prognosticators and mock drafts and the intergalactic all-knowers of draft will tell you. This notion that Ty Simpson was going to fall to 27, 28, 29, 30, or the first 5 to 7 picks in the second round. I just didn't see it. I thought the entire time it was a smokescreen. I thought that there were more franchises within the National Football League that thought he was more than entrenched within the upper portion of the first round NFL draft. And sure enough, here we are, the Rams. Okay, so we all saw the video. Les Snead, Alabama native, general manager, his head coach appeared to be upset. Ty Simpson comes out this week. Secret meetings with the Rams. Nobody knew about it. He thought they were on the table. Whether you're a fan of the Rams or you're just a fan of the National Football League, how long y'all think Matt Stafford's going to play? Now, I get it. Super Bowl ready caliber franchise and roster right now. Yes, if someone argues and says, Carl, why in the world would you not try to get a piece that can help you now? Fair. But how many times relative to the next 5 years when we can all say, I think we can suffice to say that the Rams are going to be more than competitive for the next 5 seasons, unless absolutely the wheels fall off. Just look at the roster, tells you as such. Young roster, young defensive players, the whole nine. How many times do you have an opportunity, if you truly believe this guy, Ty Simpson, is a franchise caliber quarterback, especially I can get him to sit for a season or two, can seamlessly make the transition for us to continue to be contenders, and more importantly, our ascension into staying in the upper part of the most competitive teams within the National Football League. You don't know if you're going to have an opportunity to go get this. Okay, you're at, what was he at, 13 right now. I think everyone thinks the Rams are a playoff team in the NFC West. 49ers, Rams, Seahawks, world champions. I think those three teams are going to Super Bowl. Those three teams are going to go to the playoffs. More times than not, I don't know. I don't know what draft picks and what they acquired. I'm just saying, just off the top of my head, they're probably going to be picking late in the first round for the next few years. Newsflash. There's probably 5 to 8 quarterbacks next year that are going to be drafted in the first 2 rounds. How many of those do you think are going to last in the late in the first round or early in the second round? Those guys are going to be gone early. I could be wrong, but this is a loaded 2027 draft class, especially for the quarterback position. So I just looked at the tea leaves, and we went through it last week when we looked at the draft order. We went through all of the teams through the top 15 picks, and we were like, maybe the Jets could possibly, maybe, I don't know. But the next team that you came to were none other than the Rams, and solely because you could go get a guy there, plug him into the franchise organization, let him learn, let him be able to see what this looks like. More importantly, have a lot of awesome things around him to make his transition great. I thought that he was going to go to the Rams all along. Personally, man, that's what I threw out there last week. If you listen to our podcast, all 6.5 of you, we may have lost half a person last week. But yeah, I just thought it was a great situation. And, you know, Ty has mentioned through a myriad of media, press interviews, junkets after being drafted that, you know, McVay had said that, you know, he had to kind of play it cool and not show his hand there. I find it hard to believe. Now, it could happen because we've seen it before in NFL franchises. I find it hard to believe. There may have been a little back and forth with McVay and Les Snead about, let's get a piece now and worry about the future later. But let's probably push back and be like, how many times can we get potentially what we think is a franchise guy? Do you like him, right? Yep. I like him, right? Yep. You think he can help us in the future, right? Yep. Get him now. It's okay. Put him in there. Put him within your franchise, your roster, your organization, be able to continue to. I just think it's a home run for Ty Simpson and all the things needed for him to excel in the National Football League. So I thought it was a win-win. I thought that may be a landing spot for him. Obviously, Arizona was mentioned early on and maybe hopping back into the first round at the 30th pick to be able to do just that. But no, the Rams were ideal for me at 13 there. I want to go to Caleb Downs at 11. I had a college basketball coach. We were texting back and forth. He's a Cowboys fan, and he just asked, hey, how good is Caleb Downs? I once again, not acting like I know all how things work in the secondary or secondary coach. I don't know all that. I just had an opportunity to see Caleb Downs for a year, a couple of years, or a year rather, with the Crimson Tide of Alabama. He is one of the 5 most intelligent football players I have ever seen on a consistent basis. When I say consistent basis, at least was able to see him for a year. You saw the tape. You saw him at Ohio State. You saw it. Nick Saban mentioned it on the one of the draft telecasts. Caleb Downs needs to be a guy that he has an opportunity to roam around in space to make plays. Don't put him in a box. Let him be Caleb Downs. Will it take a little bit of an adjustment relative to scheme from the best offensive minds in all of the world in the NFL? Sure. But there's also something to be said to rely on your instincts to be able to make plays. And I believe, much like you should believe, and I get it's the Cowboys, you should believe they have a plan in place for Caleb to be able to make an immediate impact and continue to bolster and enhance a defense that truly and desperately needs difference makers on that side of the football. So I love the pick. I think Caleb Downs is going to be a Pro Bowler as well. Outside of the top 10, I think a pick here or there, he probably could have slid into the top 10. I think he's one of the 5 to 7 best players, prospects within the entire draft, especially on day 1 in the first round. So I think Caleb's going to be fantastic. Okay, so Ruben Bain. Ruben Bain is built like a fire hydrant and just destroys and wrecks games. His teammate Mesidor got drafted as well by the 22 spot by the LA Chargers. But Bain came out highly ticked off, pissed off, got his hat, ready to go to work. Ruben Bain is going to impact the game in 2 ways. Obviously, plays made by himself on the edge, and also the type of attention that young man will be able to receive that will free up other players within that franchise in Tampa Bay. I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be really, really good. And I think that, when the NFL does that top 100 and all the players like talk about other guys, and then you'll see Ruben Bain in the top 100 somewhere after his first year or 2 years. And a lot of the guys will be like, man, paraphrasing, I believe they're going to be like, man, this guy, not only does he make plays, but he opens up plays for everyone else within his unit up front. I think he's one of those guys. If you saw a player, especially at that position, play exceptionally well at the highest level of college football, chances are, for the most part, if you're willing to put in the work, put in the time and effort needed to be excellent, you're probably going to be pretty good. So I think Ruben Bain is going to be really good for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think he is going to play with his hair on fire, which is going to be ideal for Bucs fans and fans of that franchise and organization. I think he's going to be great. But I think a lot of times you may not see his impact. I could be wrong. I'm not saying I could be wrong. He's going to make plays off the edge. But the things that offenses will have to account for when he's on either side will benefit the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense that much more, in my opinion. So hats off to Ruben Bain, picked 15th overall by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kenyon Sadiq, I love Kenyon Sadiq. Can just flat out run. Looks the part in his uniform. I mean, looks like a specimen. But I think he's going to be a big help for the Jets and Geno Smith and Aaron Glenn and company. Just a sure outlet to be able to make vertical plays and plays in space and be able to run away from said linebackers at his position. Love the pick there for the Jets also. Mekhi Lemon for the Eagles. Obviously, everyone believes it's only a matter of time, but June 1 will be here and A.J. Brown will be gone. They'll make that move, and he'll go from all indications, reports, the New England Patriots. So you have to get a guy that can be your 1 or 1A to maybe a Devontae Smith. I love Mekhi Lemon. Mekhi Lemon is probably the most polished receiver taken in the first round. I would say so. It's just so many things you can do with him. Plays way bigger than what his size indicates. He's good enough to be out on the outside. He's definitely a serious factor within the slot positions there at wide receiver. There's just a lot of things you can do with him. Durable for the most part. So super excited to see what Philly does with him from an offensive standpoint with Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and company there. And, of course, one of the best running backs in football, and Saquon Barkley and the offensive line. But, yeah, I love Mekhi Lemon. I think Mekhi Lemon is an impactful guy from day one to start with the Philadelphia Eagles head into the upcoming season. 20 through 30, we'll go through with it. 21 through 30, rather, we'll go through it. The offensive tackle from Arizona State, we mentioned Mesidor at 22, going to the Chargers. Malachi Lawrence, a Louisville, Kentucky native, that is going to go to the Cowboys. Another big help on defense. You can see what they're doing to try to continue to bolster that defense there. Casey Concepcion, love. At Texas A&M, former NC State standout as well, headed to the Cleveland Browns. Dylan Thieneman, I think he's going to be really good for the Bears relative to maybe what they're asking him to do back there on the back end. Keelan Rutledge there, offensive guard there for Georgia Tech. Chris Johnson, corner from San Diego State. Caleb Lamu from Utah headed to the Patriots. Peter Woods, Birmingham native, going to head to Kansas City, has a tremendous upside. I think he is going to benefit greatly from Chris Jones and learning how to be a pro and an everyday pro and going about his work. You know, Peter Woods, I mentioned last week during our episode last week, you know, Peter Woods has all the makings to be a top 10 pick coming in, and he looked the part after his first 2 years at Clemson. Maybe wasn't as impactful as he would have liked. Clemson fans would have liked his junior year, but all of the things are there for him to be a very dominant defensive tackle. And what better way to continue to improve your skill set, enhance yourself as a professional football player than to learn from an all-pro each and every day. So I hope that Chris Jones is his best friend and listens to everything that talented man has been able to accomplish within the league. So I think Peter Woods went to the right spot that can maybe take his game to where many thought he could project to be after his first couple of years at Clemson. Omar Cooper falls to 30. I guess we say fall, but I mean, I liked him as a receiver. The receiver core just deep from a prospect standpoint within the draft this year, but love Omar Cooper. I thought the Jets had a really good draft, y'all. Like, I know Jets get a lot of flack, but man, I thought it was pretty freaking good to get an Omar Cooper. Once again, weapons for Geno Smith, being able to take care of some needs there and continue to build the franchise to what it could be in the next couple of years. They're not winning the Super Bowl. Probably not going to go to the playoffs. You want to be better than what was shown a year ago. That's the key. Aaron Glenn, I think he knows, and his entire coaching staff knows, as he's had to get rid of a bunch of coaches, kind of a fire sale, brought new coaches in. This is it. You got to show something, because after this year, we're moving on, and you can't be that non-competitive for most of the year. You need to be showing some headway and some marked improvement for you to be able to stay and continue to build this franchise to your liking. How about the Keldrick Falk? Auburn standout, edge rusher there, going to head to the Tennessee Titans. Thought Tennessee Titans had a fantastic draft. Once again, another one of those hybrid inside-outside defensive linemen that has the opportunity to learn from an all-pro, a Pro Bowler, and Big Jeffrey Simmons. Any walk of life. Here's a life lesson from Carl Prather. You want to learn and soak up what you possibly can from those that have done it, whatever it may be in life, at an elite level. In what world would Peter Woods not immediately after being drafted, or the Kansas City Chiefs don't put him in contact with Chris Jones? In what world does Robert Saleh and his defensive coaches don't put Keldrick Falk right in touch with Jeffrey Simmons? Impossible. You start now to prepare yourself. Rookie minicamp is going to happen. The vets are going to have to come there for mandatory. Then you're going to translate that off to be, man, if I'm Keldrick Falk or Peter Woods, wherever Chris Jones and Jeffrey Simmons go, I'm straight shadow. Wherever y'all go, I'm going. I need to learn everything so I can be potentially great as well later on in my career. So I love the pick for him as well. And the final pick, how about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish? Oh, I got to show some love to those Golden Domers up there in South Bend. For the first time in history, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish hold the distinction of being the first college football program to have the first two running backs taken off the board within the first round of the National Football League draft. Amazing what Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love were able to do. You kind of thought that the Seahawks were probably going to take a running back relative to the Super Bowl MVP moving on and signing a lucrative deal. But I love Jadarian Price. I think he's going to be fantastic. I think Jeremiah Love is going to be fantastic. What two great gets in both within the NFC West. Think about the NFC West. After a year or right now from a collection of talent standpoint, do they have the best collection running backs in the division? I mean, you got two rookies there, but Jeremiah Love. But think about the Cardinals, Jeremiah Love, and you got James Conner, and you got a lot of guys there for Arizona. Somebody's got to potentially maybe move on. We know what Seattle they got rid of, but here you have Jadarian Price to fill that. We know what C-Mac can do for the 49ers. We know what Kyron Williams can do for the Rams. So, yeah, it's going to be fun, man, to see those guys tote the rock heading into the upcoming football season. I'm just going to go through the second round, just some guys that I like. Let's start at the very top of the first round. Dejon Stribling, I think he's like 24, 25 years old. I love him. Played at Oklahoma State, played at Ole Miss, going to be with the 49ers. Man, can take a ball, a reception, 15 and make it 50. Big play guy, big time elite speed. So I know a lot of 49er fans. I'm a 49er fan, just kind of reading when you're reading social media in real time. A lot of people are like, why are you reaching up for that guy? From all indications, from all your player personnel guys, what's true, what's not true, this is a really good get for the 49ers. I like Stribling. I liked him at Ole Miss. I think he's really, really good. I just think there's a serious role for him as your three guy, roughly around the same, not the same mold, but you're going to be in the same packages with a Mike Evans and a Pearsall, and then you're the next guy. What better way to not maybe be the one, but eventually become the one there? And we know what Kyle Shanahan can do as far as moving guys around and stuff. From, as I like to say, the great ones can manufacture offense. It don't always have to be big play on offense, but he can be one of those guys I think can flat out go. Like him a lot, a little older, but man, I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it as a 49er fan. Super, super thrilled with that pick. And we'll get into the 49ers, my team here momentarily, look at their team because they got another guy that can get busy too on defense. But no, Stribling I think is great. Let me see, just looking. I like Caden McDonald. I thought he was appropriately drafted at that spot. For me personally, does some really good things at Ohio State at the defensive tackle position. Like him a lot. Trying to go through here, look, like R. Mason Thomas. Like I think the value is the thing that always just interests me when you're in the National Football League draft. Because a lot of these guys you saw on Saturdays, man, they just were productive. Just productive. Look at them. Think about it. R. Mason Thomas was great. Caden McDonald was pretty solid. Zion Young. Jeremy Bernard, dude, for the Steelers. 49er fan, I would have loved to have Jeremy Bernard. Would not have been more than happy with him being the first pick of the second round. But just think about something. Lee Hunter. D'Angelo Pons, man. I don't care if he's 5'8", 5'9". Dude can ball. Eli Stowers. I'm just literally going through here. Oh, one of my I've been talking about Anthony Hill Jr. since his freshman year. Being able to see him in person in Tuscaloosa at Bryant-Denny Stadium as a freshman, just get after it. The Titans got him. Man, the Titans had a hell of a draft, a hell of a foundation, man. I love their draft. It was fantastic. Bud Clark at TCU, love Bud Clark. And he's going to Seattle to learn from those Swamp Thing secondary guys in Seattle, all the things they can do, how athletic and physical those guys are. Man, just awesome in the second round. So we can go on and on about so many guys there. Keiwan Crawford got picked in the third. Loved him. Love Romello Height as well. People are discussing him. Drew Aller can throw it a country mile. And Drew Aller in another lifetime would be a top 5 pick, was on his way to that leading into last season. One way or another, things didn't work out. I just hope that Drew continues to maybe be able to find a way to play faster, if that makes any sense for any of our QB gurus out there. But man, as far as physical traits and thrower of the football, there may not be anybody better that can absolutely unload it. So the Steelers have him there. AJ Halsey's stupid. It's stupid means like good. AJ Halsey, like, come on, man. I mean, awesome. Love Zachariah Branch. Like the value in round 3 was awesome. Chris Brazzell goes in the 3rd round. Dayan Everett, I like him as well. Kalon Black, running back. I know a lot of people were like, man, why are you taking this guy? So he was productive, man. You never know. And of all people, if any franchise in the National Football League can get something out of the running backs, it's the 49ers. We got 35 of them. I said we, like I played. They got tons of them. So the draft was fun across the board. I just want to go to the teams really quick. I just want to, for all you Tennessee Titans fans, is this good? Is this good? Somebody tell me, please. For the love of all things National Football League. Is this good? How about this? How about this draft? For the Tennessee Titans, Carnell Tate, Keldrick Falk, Anthony Hill Jr., Fernando Carmona, Nick Singleton, Jackie Marshall, Pat Coogan with a 6th round pick. And Kanaka over at Oklahoma, he was the tight end. Yes, tight end. It's a hell of a draft, man. Great building blocks. I mean, you can't ask for anything better. Your first 3 picks. Tate, Falk, Anthony Hill Jr., what? Football players, man. Productive in college. Tape shows that. No, there's no flashes, really. Keldrick may be the only guy that you would like, I would like to see a little bit more, but he's so versatile. His ceiling is a 10-year pro. His floor is a potential 10-year pro. His ceiling is like all pro, especially if you're learning from Simmons. So I thought it was great. 49ers, on the other hand, love their draft. Stribling. A lot of people maybe thought, a lot to be desired there. I love Stribling. My guy, where's my guy? Halden? Yeah, I like Halden. Like him a lot. Duggar is productive. They got him at the 5 pick. So, in Romello Height in the 3rd. I mean, do you trust relative to franchises, front office, player personnel, general managers? As far as just talent on field and putting talent in best possible scenarios to be successful. Do you trust anybody else more than the 49ers front office, brass, head coach, assistant coaches? Yeah, they may not have won a Lombardi in forever, but they are right in the mix every year and going to be one of the odds-on favorites to go to the Super Bowl this upcoming year. So I thought they did a magnificent job across the board. But the Titans, to me, relative to all the drafts, I hadn't looked at the grades or anything, but man, they have to be one of the 3 or 4 best drafts. I'd be shocked if they're not. But I hadn't looked at that. But I was very impressed with Tennessee. So yeah, it was fun, man. The NFL draft, I always love it. Kind of a must see TV there for me. I've always enjoyed it since I was a kid, and love kind of going through it, and then more importantly, kind of seeing where those guys project as they go through their respective careers after the next couple of seasons and how that looks looking back. 2027's draft, whoo doggy, loaded. We mentioned the quarterbacks. I mean, think about them: Arch Manning, Dante Moore, Sellers, South Carolina, who, he shows out this year. Where is he going to go? There's a lot of guys. Brendan Story, obviously, he's had his issues there with Cincinnati, but, I mean, he's a guy you got to think about. There's a lot. It's super talented. Edge rushers at a the 27 draft is going to be flat out loaded. Some instant impact guys, in my opinion. Remember we talked about at the beginning of the episode, there's not, for every 2 to 3 of those guys, there's 50 other guys that need a little bit of time. There's going to be more than 2 or 3 next year that can be able to show up and show out, in 2028. So 2027 rather. So we shall see. Like, subscribe, Take After Take. I promise producer Pat may be here next week. We're going to cross our fingers so I can praise him and his team for their draft. But anywhere podcasts are available, you can find this episode and podcast. Listen, we're doing this. We hope that you all are enjoying it somehow, some way. Appreciate everyone that does listen to this across North Alabama and beyond. Like it, comment, give us a 5-star review. It could be bad too. It's fine. At least you're listening. But Apple iTunes, Spotify, anywhere where podcasts are available. Hey, go get our 48 Sports Zone app. If you are here in North Alabama or you have family members that are outside this area, but you have athletes, young athletes, or those that are here in the area, you just want to kind of keep up to date what's going on in North Alabama and the Tennessee Valley, you go grab our 48 Sports Zone app. It's available on Apple iTunes and the Google Play Store where apps are available. It's free. All you have to do is download it. I get it. You got 7,222 apps. Make it one more. And more importantly, make it one more to support all of our local athletes and the happenings in and around the Rocket City. We are also on our YouTube page on WAFF, and we're also on our WAFF.com webpage as well. So a myriad of ways to be able to go find this podcast, Take After Take. It'll be live. We'll record this on a Wednesday. You are listening to this on Thursday. We will be back here next week. We'll discuss a number of things, sports, non-sports related. We're just going to have a little fun as we kind of near the off season before things get real crazy. And that'll start once we got to get into July as the SEC Media Days will take place down in Tampa, Florida for the first time ever. So I'm Carl Prather. Thank you for watching and listening to Take After Take, and we'll see you back here next week.